Hey guys, what's up? It's Alex. Welcome back to another video. In today's video, I just want to rant. I just want to give a mouthful of everything that's been going on my mind since the day I was born all the way to now. I want to let you guys know that everybody struggles. Everybody goes through things. And first off, I don't want to make this video seem like I'm like a self-pity type video, because at the end of the day, I want to let you guys know nobody cares. Everybody is hyper-focused on themselves. Unless they're your family, nobody cares. Even your closest friends. Everyone is focused on themselves more than anybody else. So I understand if this video sounds like I'm self-pitying and asking for some kind of recognition, because the only recognition I get is from God and them and my parents. So that's all I need. With that being said, guys, I want to go over how I have changed throughout the years and overcome some very, very, very tough obstacles. If you guys are ready for this, please drop a like on this video right up there, down there, wherever. I don't know. Subscribe if you want more of these sit down / talk videos. So I'm going into everything. Everything you need to know about Alexander John, which is my alias. I don't really use my last name on here. I was born February 18th, 2004 in upstate New York. I was raised for the first couple years by a single mom, my mom, and with my sister. My mom got over a divorce from my biological dad, and I don't remember him at all. I mean, there wasn't really a reason at my point in life to see him. He was not a good person. You know, when I started YouTube, I was like, do I really want to make YouTube videos in case this guy sees my videos? I have no interest in seeing him. From what I know, he's a piece of crap. And you're probably asking, that must hurt, Alex. That must really hurt you. No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. I have a dad now that's been with my mom for almost 20 years. Actually, yeah, almost 20 years, October 16th, 2006 or something like that. He gave me and my sister, my biological sister, his last name. In the early days, we tried getting my bio dad involved with seeing us. He wasn't up for it. It is what it is. The dad I have now, amazing. I'm eternally grateful. He worked his butt off our whole entire, life. He's the dad I know. He's the dad my sister knows. He's the dad my brother knows, which my brother is, my younger brother technically is my half-brother. Some of you guys know him. He's actually my half-brother, which nobody really knows. A lot of my childhood trauma could have stemmed from that without me knowing, because growing up, I had so many anger issues. I made a video like this before, and some other guy on YouTube, he made a reenactment of it, and it was so pitiful. It was disgusting, making fun of my life like that. But I learned to forgive him, and I learned to see the dark humor of it. And if my voice sounds a little raspy, it's because I'm getting over a cold. So yeah, starting off, divorced parents. A lot of you guys might be experiencing that or have experienced that. It sucks. I can't say it really affected me because, as my mom would say, I was an accident, which, by the way, I totally disagree. Nobody's an accident. Everybody's a gift of God. You don't call your son an accident. So it's one thing I disagree with my mom about. And my mom is also I put her through a lot. Like, she's a stay-at-home mom, and she has MS, and the days we would have off from school, I would torture her. I wouldn't beat her up, but I would really just bang on the doors, scream, yell, I want something to eat, blah, 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 blah. I was a fat kid growing up. If I didn't get my food, oh my God, they had to lock up the fridge for 5 years until I moved out. It was very bad. And it wasn't, and at the time I thought, oh, maybe it's because they hate me or whoa, I don't know. No, it's because food is expensive and I had and have a failing kidney, failing liver. It's depressing to talk about, but you got to live one day at a time, and that's exactly what I'm doing now. So I'm going through basically the start of the timeline to now. I put my parents through hell growing up. I would always beg for things for Christmas, and if I didn't get it, the police would come to the door because I would go so crazy, scream my head off, threaten to hurt myself because I didn't get what I wanted. Naturally, my parents were fearful. They called the police. Police came, talked me through it. I even remember one of the cops looking at on my dresser. There was a picture of me, like on my baseball thing, maybe a baseball picture. You know, me in the jersey. He's like, "You got some good things going for you. You're into baseball. That's cool. You got to look at the brighter things." That's one of maybe 48,000, maybe just 48 different calls to the house, with dealing with the cops throughout the years and dealing with mental hygiene arrests. The majority of the cops were phenomenal. If I could thank them, I would. Some of the cops, there was only like one that was really like a dick. He was like, "I'll be back." Like, once he was done talking to me, he's like, "I have never ever seen a child this horrible. I would put him up for adoption," saying this to my parents as I'm sitting and crying in my bedroom, attempting to hurt myself. Like, but I'm not one to defund the police. I think the police are phenomenal at their job, and people really hate police until they need them. So yeah, I grew up very troubled, went through all different kinds of meds, went through all different kind of side effects of meds, for ADHD, depression, anxiety. They have diagnosed me with everything, literally everything, but autism. It's like, it's weird. I tried doing one of those, going to one of those exams to see if I'm autistic, and I was like not cooperative at all. I was like 9 or 10 years old, but is it wrong for me to say I think I have some kind of autism in me because I'm into things that quote unquote normal people aren't into? Like, I know the year, make, and model of every school bus in my district. I'm into school buses. You know, like how some autistic people, they're in the trains. I'm into numbers because of the school bus numbers. That's math. A lot of people that are autistic are very smart in math. I'm very intelligent, and I'm not trying to make myself sound like a whatever they call it, but I know so many interesting facts not your average person would know. Growing up, I never had that diagnosis of autism. Interesting, right? Even though my parents still think I had it, they said I have explosive compulsive disorder, which, no shit, I was grabbing hammers and throwing it at walls. Oh my God. If you've watched William from Violet First go crazy, that was like 5% of what I did, what I've done to my parents. That was like 5% of it. Why am I making this video? Because I want to get it all out there. I don't want to have something on my shoulder, and I want you guys to relate. I notice the videos that I make where you guys relate get more views, get more traction than videos of me scripting videos, doing collaboration series videos. Let's get back to topic. I used to hate my parents. Hate them. I would hate them. I would just hate them. especially my dad. Like, looking back, I hated that man. I really did. But now it's like, I look at him and you see the sorrow. Like, I see the sorrow in me. Like, I see it in his face, like what I put him through. You see how he's aged, and all that man ever did was work. And when I refer to my dad, I'm talking about my dad I have now, not my bio dad. I have never planned on. If there's a heaven, I don't even want to see him there. Please, God, don't let me. But when I'm with my dad, with my dad now. It's like almost like relax. Like it's a sense of relaxation. I have a place of my own. I can make my own rules. That was one thing I hated being. I was a fucking brat. I'll be honest. I was a brat. I hated having rules. And I love my dad. And I love my mom. I didn't hate my mom as much as I hated my dad. And when I say hate, I don't mean like, oh, I wanted to kill them. There was times where my mind thought I wanted to kill them because that's what led to MHA's, mental health arrests. But I never was like, oh, I hate them, like how some people hated or hated Charlie Kirk to the point where they killed him. It's not like that. It's, you just don't get along with your parents. You don't see eye to eye. But I swear to God, every month or every year time goes by, there's something every month, every day. I say, you know what? My parents were right about that. I'm trying to show it more to them that, hey, I've matured. I understand why, for example, you took our electronics away at 10 p.m. while other kids' parents didn't take their electronics away. I thought those were the cool parents. No, those were the parents that didn't know how to parent. You know what I mean? If you're a younger person watching this, know that whether it's your parents, guardian, whoever is taking care of you, they don't have to take care of you. They can put you up for adoption, but they don't, because they love you. Unless you're in some messed up case where they adopt you. And I've been into group homes where kids were adopted just to have the parents get paid to take care of them. Foster care system isn't the best, but there should be like a big background check for foster care system. I'll talk about group homes in a second. From my early years, like from when I was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I didn't really have like the terrible twos, or I really started having anger issues when I was like really bad, maybe like 8 or 9. Like that's when like something just infested in my brain and felt it in my chest. Like there was one day I was going home from school and I just felt a whole rush of anger. And when I got home, for no reason whatsoever, I just took it out on my mom, threw things. I would lie if I said I've never physically assaulted her as a minor. I would lie, but I don't like to think about that. I really don't. I don't. She wouldn't go after me, so I wouldn't go after her. My dad, on the other hand, he had a different way of handling things. He would charge towards my room. We would fight, fist fight. You can tell he was trying to resist himself. He would restrain me more than anything. I would be the one trying to fight him. My mom, she wouldn't restrain me. She wouldn't even attempt going after me. She was probably scared of what I would do back. And the few times she did, I did swing back. Not only was I like that to my dad and my mom at times, barely. My brother and I, we would we would scuffle. I think that's the right word. But sometimes it would get out of hand where I would just beat him to the ground. There got to be a time where there was an order of protection against me and my brother. And I'm sorry, I still think this is just this situation where they gave me an order of protection because my brother and I just kept beating each other up. What brothers don't beat each other up? This is where the cops failed. Like, this is like who cares if my brother wasn't even, no, he wasn't even getting bruised or anything from me. We would just beat each other up, and obviously he would be the one on the ground. And call after call, cops basically said, we're sick of coming here. Fill out an order of protection against your two sons. So they did. Put Jacob, last name, Alex, last name, sign the date. And then the cops came one night randomly and handed me the papers. I rolled my eyes. I said, do you realize how stupid this is and how many brothers actually beat each other up? Whatever. The time would come where he would beat me up. And it did. So, like, whatever. Okay. So then another time came right after that. I don't know, a month or two later, probably not even. Cops showed up. I beat my brother up. They took me in the back of a cop car, and I was probably in the cop car alone waiting for 30 minutes. They decided we're going to take him to the police station because I voided the order of protection. This was also the only one time I also had a probation officer. So we went down to one of the sheriff's office. I got fingerprinted. Guys, I was bad. I got fingerprinted, had to stay in the cell. They took a picture of me. Then they took me down to the courthouse, which is right connected to the jail. When I was walking into the courthouse with a cop on each shoulder, there were juveniles. Maybe, no, they were adults. They were adults screaming from their jail cells out the window, "Run while you can!" I will never forget that. But obviously I didn't run. The cops said, don't listen to them. They brought me in, and about 30 minutes later, we had the court appearance, and I pleaded not guilty. Part of me thinks that my parents did this as a scared straight type thing. I don't know, because I was close to 18 years old at this point. But by the way, my brother's 4 years younger, so he was 14. 13 and 17-year-old beating each other up. Who cares? Brothers do that. Do I regret the times where I beat him to the ground? Yeah, sometimes, where we got that bad? Yeah, I do. It was bad. But brothers beat each other up. He ends up being taller than me now and more muscular. He can beat me up now. It's fair game, right? But whatever. My parents just wanted peace. But we got to the courtroom and going back and forth. You know how the court thing goes. They say the case is dismissed. They put my brother's birthday wrong. They put my brother's birthday as the same birthday as mine. The idiot cop that thought it was a great idea to do an order of protection of me and my brother put our birthdays as the same birthday. Are you retarded? It's like when cops pull people over for going so fast and they say, we'll see you in court, and the cops never show up in court, so the case is dismissed. Another instance where cops just didn't do their job but benefited in my situation. Cops brought me back into their cruiser and back to the sheriff's office, waited there maybe an hour for my mom to pick me up. My mom first says to me, "Have you learned your lesson?" No. I mean, yeah, because that's probably going to be the closest in a police presence scenario I'll ever be in. I jumped off the timeline because this was after I've been to multiple group homes. So I would say that was the tail end of before I turned 18. So let's rewind back to 2013, 14, 15, 16, and 17. 2013, 2014, 2015, and 2016, I was horrible. I Like I said, I didn't really beat anyone up. I would more so destroy things and hurt myself. I've stabbed myself before, which is weird because I didn't feel the pain. Like I stabbed myself. I was like, God damn, stabbed myself. Still have a little mark. Didn't feel any ounce of pain. My arm went numb for like 5 minutes, not even. I don't know. But I would mostly destroy my bedroom, my door. I would keep kicking because my parents, they put the lock from the outside. So they trapped me in my bedroom, which I can understand. At the same time, you're putting me in a consolidated area. They were grown up raised where if you're grounded, you stay in your room. I destroyed everything in my room. It was insane. I actually have a friend, his brother in Texas. His brother went through the same stuff until he got on medication. But that's besides the point. There was one time, the first time, where they called the cops on me because people are going to think I'm like sobbing and doing this for attention. But you got to understand, I'm reliving these moments right now. I put the dresser in front of my door to where my parents couldn't come in. On that dresser was a wedding photo of my parents. And when I was so mad, I cracked the glass out of it and cut myself. Why am I really don't even want to record this video anymore. Why am I even doing this? Reliving these moments suck. So then we went to the hospital. I had no idea what the hell was going on. They have a talk with me. Are you feeling suicidal? This, that. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck that means. Obviously I was if I was cutting myself. It's the fact it was their wedding picture framed. But when my dad finally busted through the door, the dresser fell, and that's when the wedding picture broke. And then they left me alone for a little bit. I started hurting myself with the wedding picture. There's a good end to it, okay, guys? I don't even want to edit this video, but there's a good end to this story. I could be doing something positive right now and not be talking about this. Why am I even making this? That's right. It's because you guys could be going through something similar and I want to help you guys. So, all of this happened, all of that happened, and eventually I got a caseworker and she pulls out a little pamphlet and it says something like the name of the group home, community residence. At first I was like, I'm not dealing with that. There's gonna be like kids running around being stupid. She was like, no, it's 14 years old to 18 years old. I'm like, I don't know. But then we kind of let that aside. At this time, I was also doing YouTube, which is something I loved to do at the time. Not so much anymore. It's more like a chore. I like venting to the camera, but I had every electronic taken away. I couldn't do YouTube. So I had this camera that was my sister's when she was gone at college or high school. I would go to her bedroom, take the camera, take the SD card, film a bunch of stuff on the camera. Just stuff like, I'm making a book, I'm welcome to the behind the scenes of The Unknown Identity or whatever like that, which was a series we were making at the time. Before she got home, I would put the camera back in her bedroom. Sometimes I'd forget, but I would hold on to the SD card. I was smart enough to know that footage, my footage is on there and I don't want it gone. And I still have the footage to this day. But I really wanted to do YouTube and film. And obviously, not having my electronics prevented that. I mean, they really didn't want me having electronics. I don't know if they were afraid of something, like of me getting into trouble on it or something. I don't know. I think it's because one of my old caseworkers told them to not hand me a device because it enables it. Because then at one point, another caseworker told my parents, give him the device. Like, just, if it avoids him going into a behavior that's bad, hand him the device. Which obviously, that doesn't teach you a lesson. I doubt that caseworker had a child of its own, and if it did, no wonder why they're doing casework. So, looking back, why would my parents hand me a device? Ridiculous, right? So this all happened, and then we got back to the topic of a community residence because stuff just kept getting worse. Things just kept getting worse, so the caseworker brought up the community residence thing again. I'm like, it doesn't really sound that bad after all. She's like, why don't we go take a tour of it? I'm like, okay. We took a tour of it. Wasn't that bad at all. Took about, how long did it take? 6 months. It took like 6 months before I got accepted into that group home. Obviously, in between then, things still happened at home. Things didn't improve. So I got to the group home. I would stay there 5 days a week. And go home on the weekends and the holidays, like holiday break and stuff. At first, it was working. I wasn't, crazy. It's almost like I was in my honeymoon phase there. So every Saturday when I was at home, one of the counselors would come out to my house and take me to do something in the community. That was fun. That was probably the best thing about the group home. And I bet you there could be a former counselor that I had that is watching this video right now, or, have seen my videos. I used to blast them on the TV there. But the counselors were fun. For what they made per hour, they really, not that it's about money, but when it's 2018 and you're only making $13.50 an hour, I'm surprised they didn't just all quit. But clearly they loved working. They loved working for the kids. It built their resume in case they wanted to go to nursing. I know one counselor, amazing counselor named Bobby. He went to nursing. Helps build your resume and whatnot. A lot of people went back to college. A lot of people went part-time. But I grew connections with these counselors. But they wouldn't let me have a phone there. But my parents let me have my phone on the weekends if I did good during the week at the group home. And at the group home, we went to the local school district. It wasn't like private school. But when I started going to the group home, I kept missing school. I didn't go to school. And that was the first ever for me, because growing up, if there was one thing that you didn't do with in regards to my parents' rules, if there's one thing that you didn't do, it was, if you didn't go to school, you would go to school. My mom would, she did not mess around. She would drag you by your hair. She would drag you by your ear. She will make you go on the school bus. And, I was always good about that. Even she recognizes that. One time I woke up 5 minutes before the bus came and I still made the bus. Hey, Luke. I was always good about school with my mom, but at the group home, what are they going to do? They're just gonna, like, I'm not their kid. They're not gonna take me seriously if I don't go to school. Hey, Luke. So I barely went to school. And when I did go to the central school district there, I was horrible there, missing class. I wouldn't even take showers at the group home. So the group home got known as the group home that doesn't shower. So these poor high school girls that I was in the group home with, they got made fun of because I didn't shower, because everyone just assumed the whole group home didn't shower. Because once the set of kids went on the bus, they would smell. It was so mad. It was all me, but it's funny to look back at. But man, I barely keep connections with anyone from there. Any of the kids that went there. There was only 8 of us in the group home. Obviously, when one left, another one would come. I barely don't really have connections. I have one connection, which is JT. He's actually from he's from that group home. If you go back, I did a power outage prank on him. We hang out a few times a year. We should hang out more. It's actually probably been less than a few times a year. But I started acting out at that group home. Not at first, probably. It gradually got worse as a year went by. And in that year, actually in the first few months, when they realized Alex isn't doing good at the schooling, they brought me to BOCES, which is like special ed, 611, 6 teachers, or 6 students, 2 teachers. And they put me in there instead, and there were some pretty bad kids in there. Kids would bring knives to school. Kids would threaten my life. Like if I was like some kind of president. Like real shit. People would bring pepper spray to school and spray it. And people, oh my God. I heard a story of JT when he was at the group home. One time the cops came and they meant to pepper spray the kid, but they pepper sprayed the staff. Anyways, that's just crazy. That's hilarious. But yeah, I was at the group home and it kept getting worse and worse and worse. I wasn't improving. At home, I was doing worse. At the group home, I started destroying things, knocking down bookshelves, kicking down doors. Well, I couldn't really kick down doors. They were industry-made doors. They weren't like 5-panel doors. Well, the bedroom doors were, but they were stronger. You know what I mean? At my parents' house, the doors we had were just one sheet of wood. So, but when the director at that group home was leveling up to work at the actual campus, that's when they're like, we got to do something with Alex because we're about to transition to a new director here. We don't know how, he's not going to know how to handle him. So that's at least what I think was when so I technically went to a level higher of discipline, place, whatever. It wasn't a group home. I was actually living on campus. And I moved there in 2020. I was at the first group home 2018 to 2020, second group home 2020 to 2020. So I kind of learned, like, at the second group home, which is the higher level of care. It was on campus, where the school was on campus. Everything was on campus. I was at school for 2 weeks, and COVID shut down, which COVID probably saved me, because even in that first 2 weeks of me going and staying at that on campus at the higher level of care group home, there were times where I wouldn't go to school and they would give me a thing called out of program, where you have to sit at the table in the front, dining room table, and put your head down, which I didn't mind. It's the closest I got to food, was being at the dining room table. But then COVID happened and things were strange. Things were very weird. Staff were very hush-hush. Some staff acted like it was just the flu. They even said it. This is just the flu. You guys, some of you guys might say, it's just the flu. Now it's just a virus. Like, you go to the doctor, they don't know what kind of, they just call it a viral infection. That's what it is now, essentially. Back then, this was a deadly disease. For people over ages 65, people with asthma, people with diabetes, younger kids. This was a disease that meant to kick our ass. It was made in the Wuhan, China. Trump was called racist for saying it. It ends up being true many years later. More and more proof has been proving that it's real, that it was from the virus, or China. So, virus starts, and I swear to God, we shut down everything. We had to detox. Like, what happened was we had to stay at a different cottage. Like, we had to stay at a different cottage while they, poofed or bombed or whatever. The cottage we regularly stayed at, they just sprayed it with a bunch of chemicals to make it clean. Supposed to take COVID out. That happened twice or 3 times. They did that 1 month, second month, or every 2 weeks or once every week or something. They did that. But COVID wasn't spreading, so I went home. I waited. How did it go? So I was supposed to go home. Wow, okay. So I got exposed to it Friday in May when it was very hot out. This mom and her 2 children, the mom was a doctor. She worked at the hospital. She came in to take her son to Walmart as an outing. When she came in, she spread COVID to everybody. This was Friday. And I was supposed to, or was it Thursday? I don't know, but I was supposed to go home Friday because at this group home, we were also allowed to go home during the weekends. But with the virus, my mom was like, I'm not comfortable with you coming home this weekend, Alex. So I didn't go home. That Saturday, it felt like it was the most amount of pain I have ever been through. This disease, when it came out, it was meant to kill people. I was 16. Felt like I had 600 pounds lifted on me. It gave me pneumonia. It dropped my oxygen, my blood oxygen to 83. I couldn't taste, I couldn't smell. Felt like I was just laying in bed like this for hours and just staring, let time go by. And I was right next to the scorching hot window and only in the center of the bedroom, because there was three men or 3 boys, I guess, of us shared one bedroom. The AC unit was above on the ceiling in the center, and it barely let out any cold, barely. But I scooched my bed so I could lay my head in front of it, and they yelled at me. I couldn't breathe well. Hello? And I still think to this day, obviously I'm overweight, but when I exercise, I can only do it for a few minutes until I'm like, I've always been a fatty though, so who knows what was going on. But COVID was very scary. And if I went home and exposed COVID to my whole family, just a little foreshadowing, my grandmother, my mom's mom, died from COVID in November, 6 months like after May and November, or December, I mean, she got it and died. So if my mom got it when it was fresh, and like I said, my mom has MS, she could have died. I think we made a life-altering decision then to keep me at the group home. So I just kept getting worse and worse and worse, and everybody else was getting slightly better. What's going on? Why am I still feeling like this? Why can't I taste? Why can't I smell? One day they rewarded us with McDonald's. They used what they called rec money, recreation money, since we weren't able to go out and do anything. They used it to get us McDonald's, and I said to my roommate, here, take it. You want it? He was like, man, you must really be sick if you're not eating McDonald's, fat boy. I'm like, yeah. I couldn't taste it. Wasn't hungry. I think I lost 20 pounds. So everyone else was getting better. I wasn't. They were like, we got to send him to urgent care. Obviously, I'm thinking in my head, there's not going to be one urgent care, May 26th, 2020, that's going to take me in positive COVID. So we were like sitting in the urgent care parking lot. Nobody was there. Like, what are we doing here? And then the main guy that worked at the campus said, take him to the hospital. They took me to the hospital, made me wear this stupid thing, stayed in like the emergency room. They put an IV in me, and my dad, he came and visited me at the hospital with a hazmat suit. He handed me my phone, and man, because like I said, at the group homes, you couldn't really have your phone. He handed me my phone. It was the most happiest. I was happy, very happy. He took a big risk doing that. I know some of you might not think of COVID as serious, but when it first came out, it was very, very, very serious. Now it's like, you get COVID, it's like, you don't even know. It's like nothing, whatever. Although my mom had it again a couple weeks ago and she was sick, but like I said, she has MS. I was only 16, and they brought me from the emergency room into the children's care part of the hospital. Put these two things up my nose. They made me keep it up my nose. I had my IV in. At one point, they had a spot for me in the ICU, my mom told me. Which is crazy. Because, oh my God, I gotta rewind. So there was a month in between. There was a month in April where my mom kept me home and not at the group home because we all knew COVID was going to spread there like a wildfire. I said it and I freaking got told, oh, that's not going to happen. So I left saying, good riddance. It's going to spread like a wildfire. I am not going to be here when it spreads. They all looked at me and was like, buddy, there's only 44 cases here in such and such county. We're fine. And of course, when I ended up being right, I was like, I told you so. And look at all you guys, we're all sick. So in that month, I stayed home and it didn't spread to the group home. So after April was over in May, my mom got a call and was like, basically got convinced by the therapists and the doctors and the people working at the group home that everything is fine. COVID they've stayed safe. They convinced my mom to take me back. They took me back. That Thursday is when I got exposed. I was supposed to go home Friday. My mom said, I don't feel comfortable you going home yet. Let's wait. Then I got COVID. And then a week later, I was in the hospital. To make a long story short, this is when people are getting stimulus checks and stuff. So when I was in the upper unit where before they were going to put me in the ICU, my dad comes, he hands me AirPods Pro. Like, what? Stimulus money. He was obviously wearing the hazmat suit. But I was like, thanks, Dad. My brother got a pair of them too. So nobody got exposed to COVID there at my parents' house after he saw me. So when people say masks and hazmat suits don't work, they work. And guess what? The only people that got COVID at the only staff that got COVID at the group home were the ones that would take their mask down and sip their coffee. They're the only ones that got COVID. The ones that actually wore their mask. As a matter of fact, there was this one girl at that group home. She wore a mask before COVID even happened. Like, did you have some precog dream or whatever? Apparently, she was self-insecure of her face, so she would wear a mask. Like a liberal would in 2025. But she always stayed in the sensory room. She stayed away from everybody. She was very antisocial. And she wore a mask. She never got it. Masks work. Masks are probably 95% effective. And my experience, I can say that. So I got better at the hospital, thankfully. I didn't have to go to the ICU, but they had a room open and ready for me. I do remember one night when I had those tubes up my nose, I tried laying on my stomach, and the guy comes and says, no, you can't do that. I said, he was Indian. Why did I have to do that accent voice? Anyways, I was like, okay, fine, I'll lay like this. I can't sleep like this, guys. I can't. It's hard. Because I'm pretty sure I have sleep apnea, so it wakes me up, which I got to get that checked out. I got better, and every day, you know, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, they would give it to me, but I would throw it out. The third day, the fourth day, which was the final day, I was eating like everything. Like, I want more. I was finally able to taste again. I genuinely think if I was 10 years older, or even, yeah, if I was 22, I'd be 22 next month, and this virus happened, I probably would have been in the ICU. It was bad. Because it also gave me pneumonia, which I thought I had this week, but it's just a thing in my throat. That's why my voice sounds like this. It's also been 51 minutes of me talking. So I'm probably going to cut this video into 2 parts. I went back to the group home, and everyone was better. I left the hospital, went back to the group home, everyone was better. They were kind enough to give me my own bedroom, which had amazing AC. I didn't have to share my bedroom with 2 assholes that stole from me. As a matter of fact, they weren't both assholes. There was one. His name started with a T. I'm not going to reveal his name. He said to me that the other roommate says, when I was in the hospital, I hope he dies from it. Messed up. Now he's a quote-unquote devout Christian, which I don't believe. And I'm going to get into that in a little bit when it comes to me. But because I have remained faithful recently. Like I said, I went back to the group home. Everything was fine. My parents wanted to wait for a negative test result before they took me back home. This was probably mid-June. I just remember scorching hot weather in 2020. Scorching hot. So in mid-June, I was like, bye, guys. I was gone for a month. So from June to July, I'm pretty sure I was home with my parents. It was very weird. My dad wasn't working. My mom wasn't working. She doesn't work. She's on disability for MS. It was my brother and I. My sister's moved out at this point. She moved out like in 2018 because of me, apparently, which makes sense. But we would do things like go fishing. We bought a metal detector, which I still use to this day. There's videos of me using it on this channel. Stimulus money, you gotta love it. But yeah, I still didn't like my parents, but we were getting along. We were starting to get along. We were starting to get along so much and so soon to where my my therapist and I kind of convinced my parents to discharge me from the group home in August. Of course, when I went back at the end of July, after I was staying home for a month again, when I went back in July, there were all sorts of new people there. Crazy, crazy kids. This kid jumped over me just to beat up a girl, and then they started dating. Like, what? There was like this really big fat staff. He dived into the middle of two dudes scuffling. Oh my God, like he dove into it. Like, that shit was a little funny, but horrible at the same time, because the first time my parents wanted me to stay home to avoid COVID at the group home, they had me stay in their camper for 2 weeks. I went 2 weeks without showering because the hot water was not working in the camper. And you're probably thinking, Alex, just take a cold shower. I am not taking think about it, when it's 45 degrees out, that cold water is 45 degrees. No thanks, that's like horrible. I couldn't, it hurt my head. I tried. So it was like a week and a half in, my parents were like, he's fine, let's just have him go back in the house. And then that's when I stayed in the house. Took a shower as soon as I got in there. Because naturally, we were afraid of COVID. And I am a conservative, but I do have a problem where some conservatives don't think COVID was real. My grandma was 70 years old. She had nothing wrong with her. She wasn't fat. As a matter of fact, her husband, my grandpa, he has severe diabetes. I have his blood glucose monitor where it shows the history, and it says like 2012 blood sugar 295. If anyone knows about blood sugar, that's like, you better go to the hospital or drink plenty of fluid, because that's like deadly blood sugar. He is not in good health. He got through COVID like nothing. It's insane. I don't want, this whole video is starting to get off topic with COVID. But I lived back home from August 2020 to like September, like November 2021. At first, the first few months, actually the first year was pretty good. I didn't have many responsibilities where I would be like, no, I'm not doing that. School was online. Actually, starting in September 2020, it was, you only went in twice a week. And like I said, I never had a problem going into school. When it came to my mom, she would drag you by your ear. She never did, but I knew not to get there because she would. There was one day where I wouldn't get up because I couldn't fall asleep all night. And I was like, I wonder how far she would go. And she called the cops and said, hey, my son's not going to school. Take him to school. That's what happened. So I learned from that one. But the end of 2020 rolled around, doing online classes. And my grandma and grandpa, aunt and uncle live in Florida. Basically, my uncle fell. Okay, so my aunt and uncle lived in a separate trailer in the same trailer park. My grandma and grandpa lived in a different one. And apparently my uncle fell, and he just happened to have returned from the hospital like 2 days prior or something like that. And he fell. And my aunt calls my grandma and grandpa to try to help him up. They get him up, sit him down, check his temp, and he has a fever. So, okay, they go about their day. I think they I think they brought my uncle into an ambulance like the day or so after. Maybe. But my grandma and grandpa, a few days go by, they test positive for COVID. So my mom was on the phone with my grandma. And my grandma's saying, I'm not going to make it. I know I'm not going to make it. It's going to kill me, Mom. It's going to kill me, said to my mom. And my mom would call my grandma so much to where when my mom would say, okay, bye, Mom, love you, to my grandma when they're about to hang up, I would also say in the background, bye, grandma, love you. But they call so much that to the point where I thought twice saying it because it sounds redundant every time. They call almost every day. So I didn't get to say, goodbye, grandma, I love you. I remember when grandma first got COVID. Of course, the worst things possible go in your head. What's going to happen if she dies from it? And then there's a part of you that says, that's not going to happen. I teared up thinking about it. It's natural to think of the worst things possible. Unfortunately, that happened. And then my aunt, which was my grandma's sister, died from it the day after. Grandma died from it December 23rd. She was on the ventilator for like a week. And then my aunt died from it the 24th. My aunt had, I think she might, I don't want to quote, had a very slight chance of surviving. But if she did survive, she would have needed a lung transplant. My grandma smoked, but she didn't smoke her whole life. And if you're saying, oh, that's why COVID killed her, there's so many smokers and so many diabetics that survived COVID. They're fine. They're still alive. But then my aunt died from it the day after. And then my uncle died in his bed at home. I'm not sure if that was my aunt's husband or my other aunt's husband. There was 3 of them, actually. 3 trailers, I think. But anyways, now it's just my grandpa there. 5 years later, he's living alone with the dog, Charlie, and I think he likes it. He's always been a loner, and I really think he likes being alone. That dog's getting up there in age, though. He's like 12, which isn't old for whatever kind of dog it is. I've always wanted a dog like it. So 2021 hits, and they start having us go back to school full time. Wait, is it? No. Up until June 2021, we're still doing 2 days a week on Zoom, 2 days a week on in person. And I had a few problems at that. I'm not the one that had the problems at that school. This school, which I don't give a rip what you believe. But this school was very liberal. If I didn't accept your pronouns when you clearly look like a guy or clearly look like a girl, I would get lunch detention because it's hatred or something, or misogynistic, or I don't even know what these fucking words mean. They threw them at me. No teacher, let me just say this. No teacher should be asking for what your pronouns are. Part of me wants to blast this school right now. There was this girl that would go by they, them. And she wouldn't go to the school at all. She would just attend Zoom. Everyone that was there was supposed to attend 2 days there at school. She didn't because she had an excuse. Her excuse that was approved was because people were being transphobic. So when I was in math class and she was on Zoom, my math teacher accidentally called her a she. She hangs up the call and leaves the Zoom call. Clearly you just wanted to do the fucking work. Are you that messed up in your brain to think, what is a they? They is plural. I think that's the word, plural. They refers to multiple people, they're at the zoo, or 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 for example, if you're referring to people in a certain town, you say, I do know them. They are good people. And I tried to explain that in English class when the freaking teacher went around the class asking for each other's pronouns. I said, I don't know, I'm a dude. And I got looked at like I had the 5 eyes. I had 5 eyes. So yeah, so I got in trouble there. So obviously my parents, they laughed it off. They knew it was stupid. But then things started getting bad at my parents' house again. During the summer of 2021 and into the end of 2021, this is where I would really beat up my dad. I was basically almost just as tall as him. He would have to fight harder to restrain me. Things got ugly. And the battle of it was food. My mom, once we found out in 2020 I was diabetic, I started taking insulin, blah, blah, blah. My mom tried starting me on a keto diet many times. And she didn't tell me at the time that's what she was doing. But later on, she told me, Alex, I was really trying to I was having you do a keto diet, which, by the way, I technically never was on a keto diet because I would just chow down everything at school, everything they gave me. But a lot of the arguments would be about food. They would lock up the fridge because I would, you can't force a keto diet on me. You can't force it on a fat man that isn't the one choosing to go on a keto diet. If I wanted to choose, I would do it if I wanted to. My parents cared. I thought it was stupid. I still think it is stupid that they tried to attempt that. It's because they cared. They'd be like, Alex, it's time to check your blood sugar. Okay. But things got to the point where I had enough. I would fight my dad until I got food because I was starving, actually starving. And you're looking at me now like, Alex, I doubt you went a day hungry. I had to. They were putting me on a keto diet. Anyways, I've always been a bigger boy. I've always wanted extra food. And when I didn't get it, I would raise hell. And I knew my parents would give in. That's a problem. But then I went to another group home. This was farther away. It was actually a house. It wasn't like the campus one where it was a high level of care. They put me back in a group home and I did pretty good there. I attended school there because the school I was going to was the same school I went to on campus. That was the liberal school, I call it. Liberal arts. I enjoyed the school. It's because it was better than a public school. And it wasn't as bad as the BOCES school where kids were coming in with knives. Because this school actually had a metal detector. How the other school didn't, I don't know. That's very weird that they didn't. The liberal arts, I call it. They're all fucking liberals, which I'm not. Do what you want to do, but don't shove it down my throat. And I've learned to love a lot of liberals. But, because there's a difference between common sense and being prideful of your country, even if I don't agree with your ways about it. But I went to this group home, and literally the day I turned 18, February 18th, 2022, they're like, we're shutting down. We need to have you go somewhere. And my parents were like, living home isn't an option. Because at the time, the weekends sometimes still got bad. This was the third group home I went to, And I really am going through my whole life story. It's been 1 hour and 9 minutes. Oh my God. Why am I making this? I'm definitely gonna have to cut it up. But February 18th, 2022 came around, actually, they really forced me to move out by like April 1st. They legally have to give you a 30-day notice. So they started giving me pamphlets to the Open Door Mission, which I don't know if they have that where you live, but it's like where homeless people go. And they said the same thing to my parents. And so I started packing up. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know how bad a homeless shelter would be. So went to my parents. They let me live in their camper until I found a place to live on my own. And after I left the group home, I got my Social Security back pay. The only time I got money from Social Security was when I was in a group home, because that's all it's about was money. I hate group homes. The staff are cool. The people that are micromanaging it. Anyways, I started getting Social Security even after I left that group home. So I accumulated enough money through SSI to where there was this house on Facebook where I would rent the first half, another guy would own the other half of the house. There wasn't like an actual barrier of where he was separated. The front door was the front door. So my living room, he would walk in. Like people would walk in if he had people over. They wouldn't knock. I could be naked in my living room. But this was June 2022 after graduation. Like 3 days before graduation, I moved out of my parents' house with the little money I had. I didn't even have to put a security deposit down, just first month's rent. They even let me move in, I think it was June 15th. Paid like 300 something bucks. That place was it was just a regular ranch house. Beautiful ranch house, beautiful property. With assholes that run it. Of course. I have never met someone as bitter as the guy that lived with me. He had his 2 daughters. They would come every Tuesday. He would talk shit about me behind my back. He would steal shit from me, like food, and then say like, hey, Bubba, hey, fat boy, come here. I made you some food. Made me think, oh, you're doing a favor for me. He really just used my fucking hamburger meat and made like 12 of them for himself. And, whatever. He had to feed his kids. If you would have asked me that you needed to feed your kids, I would have offered you 1 or 1.5 tubes of the beef, not all 3, you fat fuck. He knows I feel this way too, because then he's like, people just don't say it. Everyone hates me. They don't say it to my face. He talks like that. He doesn't have teeth. I said, listen, Sean, I've said it to you many times. Yeah, well, you still say more behind my back. This guy, oh my God. In the Bible, they say, love your neighbor. If you are to judge, you will be judged. But there's a difference between that and the truth. You don't go to me and say and brag about that you killed somebody before. You don't steal from me. Or you don't make fun of me for being on disability because I wasn't mentally ready for a job yet. You don't do that. Funny enough, he made fun of me for freeloading off my parents or asking for free handouts. Well, guess what happened a week ago? He made a GoFundMe for himself because he's about to get evicted. Get a fucking job. It's not hard. Anyways, I lived there and dealt with it until March 2024. I'm just going to resume all of that time because half of it was vlogged. If you remember my living room, that looked with the wood paneling walls and the mirror. That's that place. And then in March 2024, I was like, hey, mom and dad, do you think you can help me move into this apartment I found super cheap above a restaurant? It's $750 a month, and if I wanted a cat, it's $780, so plus 30. They said no. I was like, it's okay. I understand. I'll deal with what I got. And then, I don't know if it was the morning after or the night later on, my mom texted me saying, I will loan you the money to get this apartment. I think part of the reason why is because they knew who this Sean guy was and what kind of a person he was. And I wish that guy, obviously I wasn't friends with him beforehand. That was a Facebook listing of me owning the first half and him having the other half of the house. I wish people saw the good in him, because there is good in him. Very, very little, because he's a hypocrite. Doesn't know when to shut up. But I got out of that situation. I'll be honest, guys. There was times where I wanted to actually kill him. There's been nobody else I've wanted to kill more than him. Thankfully, I had part of the Lord still in me then. My parents helped me move. My parents helped me move into this spot, in this apartment. March 2024. A week before I moved in here, I started up at Goodwill. And I'd been through multiple jobs. I couldn't keep a job. I would run into a problem, or I would be too lazy. I wouldn't take a job serious. I wouldn't know how serious a job is, because I would always fall back on Social Security. Part of what Sean said was right. But it's just ironic, because now he's in the same boat I was in. Get a job, lazy motherfucker. You said it to me, I'll say it to you. And then he claimed I hacked his phone. Obviously, I'm very bitter towards him. But I have my own place now. Had it for, how long has it been? 2024, almost 2 years. That's crazy. That's crazy. So I was at Goodwill from when I moved in here all the way to November 2024. And then I really went down the deep end. I lost my job because basically there was this annoying chick there that kept messaging me on Instagram. I told her to suck my dick on Instagram. It's a fucking saying. So she was like, I'm going to be petty. I'm going to report this as sexual harassment. I got fired for that. They also didn't like my views, because I would openly say I'm conservative and stuff. You don't talk about politics at work. That's one thing you don't do. So then a month later, in December 2024, I started Amazon for the first time out of 25,000 times. They put me in ShipDoc, which is, if anyone works at Amazon, ShipDoc, you walk around, packages go down the chute, you scan them, and then bring the cart and stage it over near where the trailer, 53-foot trailers go to, and haul them in. It was a lot of work. For that to be your first position, I hated it. I stopped showing up, but I applied for an internal transfer. I was negative 77 hours in UPT, and my internal transfer was still approved. And if anyone works at Amazon, you know, like, they could fire you for being negative 20 in UPT, which stands for unpaid time. So I was able to work 3 days before they actually caught on. It was like, this guy can't be working here. He's negative 70 something hours in UPT. We got to fire him. So I got the email in my spam folder at 3 a.m. All right, you're fired. Well, it looks like I got to go more job hunting. And then 2025 came around. I worked at a grocery store, my local grocery store, and they started being aware of my views. There started to be some rumors put against me that I didn't like, so I resigned. There were no benefits. I was making $15.50 an hour which in some states for you guys is like double the minimum wage. That's our minimum wage here. Now it's 16. I couldn't live off of it. It was $380 a week for 30 hours. Couldn't give me full time either. So then I started driving for Amazon. Good paying, respectively, for driving for Amazon. $20 an hour, but it was a lot. You had to load up your own truck in 10 minutes. You may have up to 200 stops a day, but just because it says 200 stops, that might mean one stop might consist of 3 different houses in one stop. So you might have 400 packages. It was hot. It was summer. It was May, June. No, it was like June and July. Okay. I totally forgot this happened. It's like I blocked it out. I still had that job. But then I met this girl on Snapchat. I just quick add a bunch of people on Snapchat. There's this girl that's actually started talking to me. And we get to know each other. Basically, less than a week later, I drive 3 hours, 150 miles to meet this girl. We hit it up, didn't do anything intimate. I was like, okay, I'll see you again. Left the same day, drove another 150 miles back here. We still talked, went and saw her again like 5 days later. And obviously, if anyone has a girl, you know it's hard to manage a job and a girl at the same time. So I wasn't showing up to work, but they were still keeping me on the roster. Any other job, if you don't show up, you're fired. Like 3rd times, you're out. I would still text them saying I can't show up, but that's crazy. They kept me as a backup. And then the second time I brought the girl back here. She stayed here for, I don't know, a week or 2. The amazing thing was, this was probably the only thing she was good for, and I don't want to sound like a woman user. She cleaned my apartment when I was gone. She kept things up. Things I can't do when I'm at work because I don't have 4 feet and I can't split myself in half. The reason why I said that's the only thing she's good for is because obviously we did things. And she said, she didn't say it. She's like, oh, I really want a kid. I've only known you for 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks. And I was so innocent to where we tried 4 or 5 times. And she was praying, I pray I have a child. I was praying, I pray to God she doesn't have a child. So we split up. I brought her back home. We split up. For a while, I didn't know if she ended up getting pregnant or not. We broke up like August 31st. It only lasted a month. We rushed into things. She was in a horrible part of town, which it's not that it was a horrible part of town. It's the fact that there were roaches in her bedroom that she found. And I thought I loved her so much to where I slept in her bed with her, where there were roaches. How do some women not see the amount that men try to, like, men are known, especially white conservative men, they're known as rapists, they're known as racists, they're known as sexists, they're known everything under the sun when we're the ones making the money. Women are too. We're the ones that are building skyscrapers. We're the ones that are building the things you're standing on. But we're called all these names. And women are the victims. It's ridiculous. So yeah, she left me because I wouldn't get her pregnant. So that ended. And then I was going through a rough time, obviously. Didn't know if she would get pregnant or not. Had to wait until I actually reached out to her a couple of weeks ago for the first time since August, since we broke up. I'm like, are you pregnant? She was like, no, thank God. I got my period right after I left your house. God was definitely watching over me and listening to my prayers. I mean, 5 times. That's like, you're guaranteed pregnant. But obviously, if you do it at a certain time, it's less likely. So yeah, and then I started looking for more jobs. Keeping a job was very hard, so I was like, okay, let me work at a different grocery store. This grocery store is family owned. It's an IGA. And you know what? I'm gonna put them on blast. It's called Foodtown IGA, North Chi-Li, New York. First, let me say, I could not have a water bottle at my register station, even after I told them, hey, my blood sugar is high. I need water. They wouldn't let me use have my water bottle, even a clear water bottle, wouldn't let me have it. They wouldn't allow bathroom break because I would be the only one in the front at that time. If I would ask for a bathroom break, I would get attitude by Doug DePhillips. That fucking loser. And then, it was my first day on the register. And they have such old equipment, they're too lazy and too cheap to upgrade it, where the thing just scans it just scans something more than once. I keep having to call Doug over, like, he's a store owner, and he's a douchebag. I'll be honest, he's a douchebag. I'm like, hey, it doubled scanned. He said a smart person would know how to run a cash register by now. Really, dude? It's my first day. Ridiculous. Mike Ward, I had no problems with him. It's Doug DePhillips. He can rot in hell. Look up Foodtown IGA. Leave them a 1-star. A lot of people say their food was moldy. Just say that. Well, actually, you know what? Don't say it. I never told you guys to say that. Don't say it. I don't need a court case against me. I left that job after a month because I confronted Mike about how Doug was being a douche to me. So he was like, well, how about you just find a different job? I'm like, okay, whatever. Fine. So, did I miss something? Oh yeah, so in May of 2025, I started back at Amazon for the second time, not as a driver. I'm reversing again. And I was a stower. And again, I didn't treat a job like I should. I didn't know the seriousness of it. And at this time, my grandmother was paying my rent. My grandmother was paying every single thing on my bills. So I didn't take it serious. So, okay, now let's resume. Now I quit that job. So only 6 months later is when I could come back to Amazon for the third and final time, I think. So up until, what was it? November 26th, 2025, I was able to finally apply to Amazon Warehouse for the third time. And I started December 11th, and I'm installing again. My grandma is no longer paying my bills. I'm able to pay my bills now. Thank God for her during my darkest times. Thank God for my parents during the darkest times. This is when things finally start looking up. Pray to God. I prayed to God. Please help things get better for me. Please. Please help me do good at this job. He spoke to me. Now, God doesn't speak to you like somebody that would be standing next to you. It's almost like, like when you talk to yourself in your head, they're your own words. these weren't my words. They weren't my words at all. You got to put in what I made you capable of, is what he said. I didn't know that was God speaking to me until I've talked to many Christians afterwards. I have accepted Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. I'm doing the best now in the last 2 months, or 1 month, 2 months, no, like 1 month, than I have in my whole life. And there's been people that are still trying to make me question my faith. And I don't let them. My sister, she sends me horrible videos of how Christians are bad. She's a liberal. She hates my guts. Why? But I'm remaining faithful. She hates my guts because of the past, but she seems to hate me even more now because I'm a Christian. And she went to a Christian school, and they failed her. Honestly, they failed her. So she views Christians as not good people. But everything is good now. My relationship with my parents is amazing. My relationship with my brother is amazing. My relationship with my sister was amazing until she sees my faith and questions it. I really pray she finds God. I pray for her a lot. But I'm doing a lot better now. I'm still in the same place. Have a nice car, have a beautiful family. Eventually I want to have, a wife and kids. So I guess if there's anything you want to get out of this video, is you can look at me and not think a thing about me. But I just spent an hour and a half vomit out of the mouth, or what is the saying? Of me telling you my whole life, unpeeling every bit of skin. Oh, that sounds weird. Unpeeling the onion, I mean. A lot of people have it worse. And from what I've told you in this video, you guys can probably tell, I grew up like a brat, ungrateful brat. Because now I'm working my butt off, relating to my dad more than ever before, which is why we get along more now than ever before. Growing up, you just think the roof above your head is it's supposed to be there, right? If it's not there, it's like there is no question. You think, oh, the food on the table, it's supposed to be there. The heat in the house, it's supposed to be there. Well, when your dad tells you to close the window in your bedroom because it's 28 degrees out, he's not saying it to be a jerk. He's paying the heat and the electric. It's like little things like that. Leave my window open, all of a sudden, next month, oh, I got a bill, $244, gas and electric. That's why my dad made me close the window at home. Guys, it's amazing. Luckily for me, my parents were logical. If you have unlogical parents, I really hope that you can try to see where they are coming from. If there is no hope, just know you are beautiful. You are built in the image of God. We humans are meant to work. We are meant to love. We are meant to care for each other. And I was at work last week and questioning God a little bit after my sister sent me some nasty, very sacrilegious stuff. I said, God, can you give me a sign? Now, obviously, I work in a warehouse. There's stains on the ground everywhere. But I happen to have to go pee. So I walk to the other side of the warehouse. I'm usually looking like this as I'm walking. Sometimes I look down. There's a stain in the shape of a cross. No other stains around that area. That's a sign. That's a sign. God will give you subtle hints and will leave it up to you to be faithful. I never grew up religious, and if I do have kids someday, and if I do have a beautiful wife, I pray to God they will also be Christians and won't have a problem going to church with me, especially the kids. With it being so hard finding women nowadays, it might be hard to, find somebody someday. But I made a video on the 31st or the 1st called Alexander John Buys a House in 2026. That might be too soon. You never know, but I am climbing up the ladder in life, whether it's job, whether it's home. I know it's not all about money, but I'm done being a slob. I'm done being cheap. All right, guys. I guess the moral of this story is be faithful. If the reason you don't believe in God is because you need to see proof in order to believe it, for one, there's so much proof that God exists. Near-death experiences, which some people say is because of the hallucinations of drugs. That's false, because there was this one lady that she died in the emergency room, and there was a ceiling fan above her, and she saw herself lifting up out of her body above the ceiling fan, and she saw like a little red sticker. And then when she returned back to her body, she asked the doctor, "Is there a sticker on the top of the ceiling blade? And is it red?" Peel it off. They get a ladder. She was like, "Check. Get a ladder and check." They thought the girl was crazy. They checked, and there was. It's not hallucinations. It's not dreams. Some of them could be. I do think some Christians are evil, so they're not Christians. They ruin it. They ruin it for the people that, like the ones that, like that one Christian guy that challenged Charlie Kirk to a fist fight. The guy was like 75. The Holy Spirit challenged me to fist fight you. Charlie Kirk was like, and that would not be a fair game. Like I said, I don't even care if you don't believe in what I believe in. You don't need God to be successful. It sure as hell helped me. You could be an atheist, which, by the way, if you're an atheist, you technically still believe in God. If you believe in the devil, you technically still believe in God. Because the devil is a fallen angel from heaven, where God is. Come on, people. Satan is not a god, so it's like redundant. But for the people that are agnostic, if you don't believe in a god, believe that we are made specifically to build, construct, evolve. We have a purpose. And if we weren't so powerful, we wouldn't have all these buildings. We wouldn't have all these infrastructures. We wouldn't be able to date dinosaurs back to how many years ago. We are a very powerful species. And if you don't believe in God, that's perfectly fine. I pray that you do someday and find Jesus Christ. And that's what's happened to me, and my life's changed. But if you don't, that's on you. I do believe you can still be successful, because whether or not you like it, God is still by your side. I really wish I remained faithful earlier in my life. I wish I got baptized. I still haven't. Part of me is like, I'm 22, turning 22. It's too late for me to get baptized. What's the point? But it's never too late. But I also don't really go to a church because I'm not good around people. But I do know Christians are one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. The same people that hate on Christians go to Christian churches for free food. Hypocritical, it really is. But yeah, guys, this is everything you ever needed to know about Alexander John. 2-hour video, oh my God. If you guys are new to the channel, please drop a big like on it. Subscribe down below if you haven't already. Turn on post notifications to never miss out on a brand new video on the channel. I hope you respect me for my views and my experiences, just like I respect you for your views and experiences. I don't want hate in the comments. Obviously, it's going to happen. Hasn't happened often, but I suspect this video to be put into multiple parts. I don't know yet. Probably might get some hate because I talked a little political in it. I love you. God loves you. And I feel the Holy Spirit in me. I never had that growing up. It's amazing. It's a very real thing. Thanks, guys, for watching. It's been real. It's been Alex. Peace out.